We are bringing you this episode of the County Seat from the offices of the Utah Association of Counties. Welcome back. We're doing a year-end wrap-up. So far we have covered the issues of condition of probation and the beer tax, the restaurant tax, and now we're going to look about and talk about the taxing situation of restricting the development of fossil fuels and energy, which has been a big topic during the course of the year. What do you see from the time the new administration started turning backwards on the 77 leases? Have you seen a general trend in what's happening here in the state of Utah?
Yes, there appears to be just a systematic ratchet down of all of the regulations as it applies to the development of fossil fuels, in particular oil and gas and coal, of course, which are the main three that are prevalent here in our state. I'm sure it's confusing for the public sometimes to try and sort that out, because there's oftentimes a referral to the fact that there's thousands of leases for oil and gas, which there still are, but there's 20 or 30,000 leases which have been denied. So that gives you some indication of what the proportion is of the leases that are out there that oil companies and those who are developing energy sources would like to pursue but cannot because of regulation. On top of that, there are restrictions due to clean air, restrictions due to RMP management. There are restrictions dealing with endangered species such as sage grouse and other things that are coming into play. So on a totality, the restrictions just continue to stranglehold the whole energy extraction industry in our state, which of course has a big impact on our members, the counties, and the public, because that's tax revenue that isn't generated. And the biggest lack of beneficiary there is public education, because they share in that energy-rich development when it comes to revenue extraction.
Where does that responsibility to the world and the rest of the nation? How much? We haven't communicated that, have we?
No, I don't think the public understands that there's a direct connection between how much they pay for gas and how much there's restriction on development of our oil and gas resources here. If we were free to extract those resources to the extent that we can environmentally, in an environmentally sound manner, I think you'd see significant reduction in gasoline prices.
What do we do, or what can counties do at a county level and citizens to move this debate in a different direction from where it's going?
Well, those are two different problems. The counties attack it on multiple levels, regulatorily with the federal agencies, at Congress with legislation, in the courts with litigation. So there's a number of different fronts where individual counties who have these resources have to get involved in the fray. The public, on the other hand, I think has to do what it does when it gets to the point where it's unwilling to accept the decisions of congressional leaders or executive officers such as the president and administrative people, and say that's enough. We're not willing to pay these kinds of prices when we have these resources at our disposal.
Yeah, look, this is obviously one of the biggest issues that we face, not only in our state, but in our country. I mean, gas prices, they're on a high. The problem that we're facing, though, is our economy in general. I mean, look at what's happening in North Dakota, for example. They have leases where they are, exploring their fossil fuels, and their unemployment rate is like 2%. I mean, it's way low. Utah here, I think we're about 7%. If we could open up exploration of fossil fuels, it would not only help the economy of the United States, but certainly the Utah economy. Well, and I think another one of the issues has always been the environmental issue. We have large groups of environmental activists who are concerned with our environment and the effect that exploration has on that. Things have changed a lot in the last 10, 20 years in oil exploration. I mean, the platform that they use now is totally different than it has been in the past. We can actually drill for oil and hardly endanger, the environment at all. So I think it needs to be looked at really seriously from both sides again, and for the benefit of our country and for our state. Look at a way of getting in and accessing this great resource that we have here in the state of Utah.
One clarification, if I could, Chad, in drawing the comparison between North Dakota and Utah. The distinction there that's really critical is that all of that resource in North Dakota is accessed off of private land. That's why it's available. Whereas in Utah, the access is all on federal land, which is what slows it down or stops it.
Yeah, and it probably should be wise to point out to the people that when you start at Colorado and go west, the federal government owns and retains large sections of land. In the Dakotas, it's like in the single digits in percentage, and here it's in the 60, 70, in Nevada's case, almost 80%. So anyway, there's topic 3 that we've covered on the county seat. We'll be back with our final topic in just a minute. Stay with us.
Almost 45% of the oil produced in Utah, 7.8 million barrels, comes from Duchesne County. That oil feeds our state economy, provides job growth, and supports local business. Here in Duchesne County, we're working to make Utah an economic, cultural, and technological leader. Whether you're here for business or pleasure, Duchesne County will welcome you with open arms and invite you to explore all the beauty of the Uinta Mountains. Duchesne County, close enough for business, far enough to get away.
Picture yourself in Logan, Utah. We do winter right.
The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. SITLA manages 3.5 million acres of Utah lands with the express purpose of furthering the education of Utah students while promoting local industry, oil and gas, even residential development, all at the same time. Through the careful use of trust lands, we distributed more than $22 million to Utah schools last year. The State of Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration, building the state's permanent school fund.